Hi, guess what? It's Thursday, August 27th, 2020. Hi. You will notice that I am recording this video in the spare bedroom in our house, which I also use as an office, and I teach from here when we're teaching from home. You also may know, so you could tell I'm at home. You also may notice that I am wearing pajamas, and you also may notice that I'm drinking a beer. And here's why I'm doing those two things. It's because school let out early today, because here in Arkansas we have what used to be Hurricane Laura. We talked about this yesterday in our video, and now it is Tropical Storm Laura, and it was supposed to be super rainy and maybe flood, and so most of the schools in central Arkansas let out early. So I got to come home, and I love rain and storms and snow and interesting weather, and so when I came home, I took a shower, and because I might have COVID germs, right? And I put on my pajamas and I got in my chair in the living room, and I got my blanket and I got the cat, and she decided she was going to sit in my lap, which sometimes she doesn't. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. She's on the chair behind me right now. Here, can you see her? Look, it's the cat, and there's the dog also. But anyway, so I pulled my chair and my blanket and my drink in my pajamas up to the front window of my house and watched the rain. And it looks like it's more or less over now. It's still kind of sprinkling outside, but I think the bad weather's pretty much over. So I decided I'd do some school stuff again. So here's some news about COVID-19 in Arkansas. Today, we got the results back from 6,682 tests, and of those, I'm writing with a marker while I talk. Of those, there were 722 of them that came back positive for COVID-19. So we've talked about positivity rate, right? 722 divided by 6,682 is around 0.11, and if we multiply that by 100, we get 11% positivity rate. And remember, that is a number that we really want to be under 10, but when it's under 5, we'll know we can kind of have a sigh of relief. So we're trying to get it down. So that just means fewer positive tests and more overall tests. Here in Arkansas, today we had 7 more people who died from COVID-19. 8 more people went onto a ventilator, which is something that that ICU units in hospitals do when people are really sick and having trouble breathing. And 43 more people went into the hospital today. So that's not good news, right? But it is what it is. And I always feel like I am less worried about things when I know more about them. So sometimes the news about COVID-19 is a little hard to understand. So I want you to tell me in the comments right now, do you want me to talk about COVID-19 news in our videos every day, or do you want me to not? Does it make you feel better to know a little bit about what's going on, or do you want me to just like not talk about it at all? I'm interested in your opinion about this, so please let me know. Let's see. So what I want to talk about today, Kaylin asked a really good question yesterday about why space vehicles do not burn up in the atmosphere, and we'll talk about that in a couple days, I promise. But right now, I promised to teach you how to read a ruler. And here's why I want to talk about this. Because in school, and especially in science classes, we say that we need to use a metric ruler, which is measuring length in like centimeters and meters and really long distances in kilometers, right? The reason for that is that most of the world uses the metric system to measure stuff. And in science, we're part of a scientific community that's worldwide, right? Scientists work with people from all different countries, and most of the world uses the metric system. So in science, it's really important that we use the same kind of measuring system as the rest of the world. I really like the metric system because it's base 10. Everything is divisible, but you can divide everything by 10. You can multiply. It's really easy to do math with. I think it's awesome. But we live in a country where most people still use what's called the imperial or the English system of measurement. So that's That's what people are using when you hear them talk about inches and feet, and for really long distances, miles. And I really don't know what you're using in school right now. What I do know is that when I get freshmen in my classroom, they don't know how to read inches on a ruler and like the little divisions of inches. And this is problematic because what that means is if they're helping their mom work on the shed and they have to go to the lumber store for lumber, or if they're helping their dad measure for curtains, and so they need to know how big their window is so that you can get the right size curtains or sew the right size curtains, right? If you can't read a ruler, then you feel silly and somebody has to teach you. And I don't know about you, but I like to know things a little bit before I need to know them. So we're going to talk about reading a ruler because apparently you don't learn this in school. So first we're going to talk about fractions, and I know that most of you already know a lot about fractions, so if you already know this, just like only listen with one ear for a minute or whatever. Just be patient with the people who need this review. So here, I have one thing, right? This is one pink index card, and if I cut it in half, now I have two pink index cards, right? And if I cut these in half, oops, messed up. Now I have 4 pink index cards. So every time I cut something in half, I have twice as many things, right? I'm going to try to prop my phone up here so you can see better. So what happens when I cut these in half? Well, let's see. If I cut all of these in half, so I had 4, and if I cut them all in half, how many am I going to have? I'm going to have 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So every time I cut something in half, I have twice as many. Let's do it again, right? I'm going to cut all my little pieces of pink index card in half. So every time we cut something in half, we get double the number, right? Okay, so if I had 8 and I cut them all in half, how many do I have? Well, 8 times 2 is 16, right? So let's see if I have 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Check it out. So every time I cut something in half, I double the number of things that I have. Okay, so my phone just fell down. So now let's talk about how that relates to rulers, right? I tell you what, I'm going to put it like this and I'll just hold up what I'm doing so you can see it. So we're pretending that this piece of paper is 1 inch long. It's not really, you know this, right? But we want it to be big enough to write on. So 0 inches, 1 inch, right? Okay, so what's half of 1 inch? It's half an inch. You knew that, right? 1/2. Now, you see that when we write half, the number on the bottom, which is called the denominator, is double what 1 is, right? It's 2. Okay, so what's half of 1/2? If we cut it in half, we're going to double the number, right? So double 2 is 4. So 1/4. There we go, 1/4. So what's half of that? What goes here? Well, if you think about it, there are 3/4, right? So here's a 4th, and there's a 4th, and there's a 4th, and there's a 4th. 1, 2, 3, 3/4. Okay, so what if we cut all these guys in half? Well, 4 times 2 is 8, right? And so those divisions are going to be called eighths. So what's halfway between 0 and 1/4? Well, it's 1/8, just like that. Okay, so now we just count to put these extra lines in, right? So 1/8, this would be also called 2/8, right? So that would be 3/8. This would be also 4/8. It would have a different name. It would be 5/8. That would be 6/8. That would be 7/8. And then that would be 1. So I'm going to add those. 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. I'm sorry, hey Duke, I accidentally locked the door. Look, the dog wants out of my room. but I accidentally locked the door, and so he can't go out. Just lay down, buddy. We'll get Brian to open it later. Okay, so we've done the eighths business. Now, we're going to go one more time. What's halfway between 0 and 1/8? What's twice 8? What's 8 times 2? Because if we have double, if we cut these in half, we're going to have double the number, right? Just like our index cards. So that's going to be 1/16. I'm going to write it kind of down below where we've got more room. Okay. So then another name for 1/8 would be 2/16, and then we'd have 3/16, right? And then this would also be, another name for this would be 4/16, and then 5/16, and 6/16, and 7/16, and 8/16, and 9/16, and 10/16. All right, you get it, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, now that you know how to read inches on a ruler and little parts of inches on a ruler, I'm going to end our video, and I'm going to put in my comments on it, I'm going to put a link to a game. It's called rulergame.net, and it starts out being kind of hard with 1/16 of an inch, but you can change the settings to make it a little simpler. So this is good practice, and it's kind of fun because you can compete against yourself and see how much better you get. So I think that if you don't have a whole lot of science or math class stuff to do today, if you would spend some time playing with Ruler Game, that would be kind of neat, and it would be something important that you would learn, and it would be something that you could use in your real life, maybe even sometime pretty soon. So I am going to end the video, learn lots, and have fun, and I'm here if you need me. And tomorrow in our video, I'm going to ask how you did on the ruler game.